غالب. So كما أخرج أبويكم من الجنة. Don't let him mislead you. Don't let him put you into fitna. Don't let him take advantage of your heedlessness, of your carelessness, lest he leads you astray, lest he takes your clothes away, he makes you naked, just as he got your parents out of Jannah. And what did he do? يَنْزِعُ عَنْهُمَا لِبَاسَهُمَا. يَنْزِعُ نَزَعَ. What does naza'a mean? To strip off, to take away. So he was stripping off from them to their clothes, to humiliate them. لِيُرِيَهُمَا سَوْآتِهِمَا. So that he shows to them too their private parts. إِنَّهُ يَرَاكُمْ. Indeed he sees you. هُوَ, he, meaning shaitan sees you. وَقَبِيلُهُ. And his tribe also sees you. Who is the tribe of shaitan? The other jinn. So he sees you, and the other jinn also see you, مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا تَرَوْنَهُمْ. From where you don't see them. They can see you, but you cannot see them. And the reality is that they're your enemy. Just imagine, if an enemy is watching us, and we cannot see him, isn't that more dangerous? Isn't it? Of course it is. And if you can see the enemy, then at least you can defend yourself easily. But you cannot even see the enemy, and the enemy is constantly watching you. How risky of a position you're in. How dangerous and vulnerable position you're in. Because when you see your enemy, you can take some steps. You are more cautious. And when you cannot see him, then he silently attacks. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is warning us over here, be alert. Be on your guard. Be very careful, because he can see you and you cannot see him. إِنَّا جَعَلْنَا الشَّيَاطِينَ أَوْلِيَاءَ. We have made shayateen the guardians of who? لِلَّذِينَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. Of those people who don't believe. So such people are the ones who follow shaitan. They are the ones who obey shaitan. Shaitan is out there to get all of you. You, O believers, don't let shaitan take advantage of you. Don't let him misguide you. As I mentioned earlier, that Adam a.s., he was not born as a child. He was created as an adult. And thus he was clothed immediately. When Adam and Hawa, they both ate of the tree, whatever they had been given to enjoy was taken away from them, including their clothes. And Iblis, he did waswasa to them and convinced them to eat of the fruit so that this would happen to them, that their clothes are taken away from them. And he wanted them to get out of paradise with humiliation. Because remember, being unclothed is what? Is humiliation for a person. It's a means of dishonor for him. And remember that clothing, it has a deep connection with modesty. It has a deep connection with modesty. And haya has a deep connection with what? With iman. Isn't it so? Clothing has to do with haya. The more haya a person has, the more appropriate his clothing is. The less haya a person has, the less appropriate his clothing is. The shorter his clothing is. And the more haya a person has, the more iman he has. The less haya he has, the less iman he has. They're all connected. The Prophet ﷺ said, iman has over 70 branches. And modesty is a branch of iman. Similarly, another hadith tells us that iman and modesty are friends. They're qurana. Therefore, when one leaves, the other also leaves. If haya leaves, then iman will leave. If iman leaves, then haya will leave. So when a person dresses up properly, what does that show? He has iman. When a person does not dress up properly, what does it show? The weakness of his iman. The weakness of his iman. What does shaitan want ultimately? He wants that our iman is taken away from us. Therefore, what does he do? How does he catch us? Through haya. Through our clothes. Do you understand? He wanted Adam a.s. to be humiliated. How did he achieve that target? By taking his clothes off. How? By tempting him to eat of the forbidden tree. And ultimately, what does He want for us? That yes, we should be humiliated, but also He wants especially that our iman is taken away from us. And iman cannot go away unless haya goes away. And haya cannot go away unless and until a person wears inappropriate clothes. Or does not wear clothes at all. So this is what shaitan wants. So over here Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us, don't let shaitan put you into fitna. Don't fall into his trap. Remember, he's going to come to you through your clothing. This is how he's going to approach you. This is how he's going to try to tempt you. So don't fall into his trap. He's going to make you think, look, nobody's wearing sheets on top of their heads. Nobody's wearing loose clothes. Why are you dressed up like an old woman? Why are you dressed up in a nightgown? Why are you dressed up in your pajamas? Why are they so loose? Your clothes should be fancier. They should be tighter. They should be like this. They should be like that. And this is what shaitan puts in the heart of a person. And remember that clothing, it definitely has an effect on iman. Because sometimes we think that, there's no connection between your clothes and your iman. But definitely there is. As we discussed earlier, if a person is wearing proper clothes, appropriate clothes, then he will be able to pray salah properly. Isn't it? And if she's not wearing proper clothes, then what's going to happen? They're not going to be able to pray salah properly. Person goes down into ruku', the shirt goes up, the back is exposed. Or a person is constantly concerned about their back being exposed. Which is why instead of focusing on the salah, what are they focusing on? Their shirt. Similarly in sujood, it happens so many times. Or the clothes or the pants are so short that when a person goes down into ruku', or they're so tight, they're going to lift up, as a result of which the feet and the ankles will be exposed. Now, clothing has a direct effect on iman. Direct effect. Shaitan makes us think that clothing has nothing to do with iman. Dress however you want. It doesn't have anything to do with iman, whereas in reality it does. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is warning us, don't fall in the trap of shaitan. He's going to come to you through your clothes. Don't fall into his trap. Because if you do so, then what's going to happen? You're going to become the wali of shaitan. Because how does the ayah end? That إِنَّا جَعَلْنَا شَيَاطِينَ أَوْلِيَاءَ لِلَّذِينَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ. It is such people who follow shaitan. And remember that you cannot see your enemy, and he can see you. He's always there to tempt you. He's always there to lead you astray. So don't fall into his trap. Be on your guard. وَإِذَا فَعَلُوا فَاحِشَةً. And when they commit an immorality. Who? The mushrikeen of Mecca. What does it mean by fahisha? An indecent act. A shameful act. A shameful deed. A deed that is immodest. Whether it is killing someone, or it is committing fornication, or it is homosexuality, or it is nudity, or it is wearing inappropriate clothes which are too short, displaying a person's awrah, too tight, displaying a person's figure and body parts that must be covered. So when they do fahisha in the context, it refers to the indecent act, the shameful act, the shameful practice of the mushrikeen. The shameful act, the shameful practice of the mushrikeen. And what was that practice? We learned that Mujahid, he said, that the mushrikeen, they used to go around the house, meaning they used to go around the Kaaba, in tawaf while naked. They would perform the tawaf without wearing any clothes. And they would say, we perform tawaf as our mothers gave birth to us. As our mothers gave birth to us. In our pure and original form. This is how we're coming before God. Our pure and original form. Allah created us without clothes. This is how we come before Allah. And there are some people today as well who present excuses for not wearing clothes. That they say that God created us like this. We were born without clothes. This is how we naturally are. Just as animals are. Animals don't wear clothes. Similarly, we don't even have to wear clothes. And they will live in areas where people literally don't wear any clothes. So they used to say that we perform tawaf as our mothers gave birth to us. And a woman, she would cover her private part with something while doing tawaf naked. And she will say, today some or all of it will appear, but whatever appears from it, I do not allow it. Meaning it is not for adultery or for men to enjoy looking at. And this was the height of indecency. Just imagine, they would perform tawaf naked. And they would think it as an act of piety. They would consider it as an act of righteousness. That look, we are so nice, we are so obedient, we don't even care about ourselves. We will give up our clothes, we will humiliate ourselves, and we will come before God. Allah does not like for a person to humiliate himself like that. Today as well, people have many excuses. That the eyes should have a veil. There should be a clothing on the eyes, on the heart. And on your body, whatever you wear, that doesn't matter. But the fact is that if there is a ghishawa on the eyes, a ghishawa on the heart, may Allah protect us from that. What is needed is libasut taqwa, which will result in appropriate clothing. So this is how the mushrikeen would perform tawaf. And when they would do that, what would they say? قَالُوا وَجَدْنَا عَلَيْهَا آبَاءَنَا. This is how we found our forefathers doing. This was their excuse. We don't do ibadah in the clothes that we sin in. We don't worship in the clothes that we sin in. And we found our forefathers doing the exact same thing before us. So we're following them. And many times, what do people say? When they're wearing particular clothes which may not be appropriate. This is how we have always dressed up. This is a part of our culture. This is a part of our society. This is something that we've always done. My parents used to dress up in that way. The other day I was watching this video, it was a documentary, somewhere in Russia. And you know, there are Muslims over there, right? And they're women. They were wearing hijab, but they were wearing short skirts. It's part of the culture. They were wearing hijab, but they were wearing short skirts. Only the wife of the imam, she was wearing a long skirt. I was so amazed at that. Okay, you're wearing the hijab, but hijab is not the only part of a woman's proper clothing. All of them, their legs were not being exposed. They were either wearing long boots or tights or something like that. However, again, clothing should not be too tight. It should dress up. It should completely cover the body of a person. So, this is what many people say, وَجَدْنَا عَلَيْهَا آبَاءَنَا. Our families, our parents, our society has always dressed up in that way. But this is not an excuse. What people have been doing is not an excuse. What do we have to do? Whatever Allah has commanded us. So when we learn of something, then we have to do it. And they would say that we don't do ibadah in the clothes that we sin in. Our clothes, we wear them when we're doing something wrong. So they become filthy. Therefore, we cannot wear them when we're worshipping God. And unfortunately, there are some Muslims as well who claim to be Muslim, who, when they pray, they don't wear their ordinary clothes. They actually change into their particular set of clothes that they have fixed for salah. And because of that, if they're not in their house or in that particular place where they can wear those clothes, they don't pray salah. There was a person once at school with me, and they were Muslim. They wouldn't pray. And I would ask them, it's time to pray Maghrib. When are you going to pray? Okay, maybe Asr you prayed at home and then you came. It's Maghrib, you have to pray. They would say, no, I can't pray in these clothes. We have a certain set of clothes and we only wear those clothes when we're praying salah. And I was very surprised. I was amazed. And this is something that is common. This is exactly what the mushrikeen would say. We don't do ibadah in the clothes that we sin in. But what does Allah say? This libas is what covers your body. And what does it do? It beautifies you. And when you're worshipping Allah, it suits you that you should beautify yourself. And you should cover yourself as well. So قَالُوا وَجَدْنَا عَلَيْهَا آبَاءَنَا وَاللَّهُ أَمَرَنَا بِهَا. And Allah has ordered us with this. Meaning Allah has commanded us to not wear any clothes when we're doing tawaf. Allah says, قُلْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُؤْمُرُ بِالْفَحْشَاءِ. Allah does not order the practice of indecency. Allah would never order such a practice. Never at all. أَتَقُولُونَ عَلَى اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Are you saying against Allah what you do not know? Where did He say this? Where did He command you this? You have no evidence for that. So don't ascribe false things to Allah. قُلْ say, أَمَرَ رَبِّي بِالْقِسْطِ My Lord has commanded with justice. My Lord, Allah has commanded with justice. And what does qist mean? According to Ibn Abbas radhiyallahu anhu, over here it means tawheed. And what does fahisha refer to? Shirk. When they committed shirk, when they committed their jahili practices, their mushriki practices, they would say, Allah has commanded this. Whereas there was no reality to it. What is it that Allah has ordered? Justice. And what is justice? Tawheed. That Allah should be given His right. Similarly, al-qist over here can also be understood as justice and fairness in every matter. Moderation. Balance in every matter. وَأَقِيمُوا and that you establish. Meaning, and that He has commanded that you all should establish wujuhakum, your faces, عِنْدَ كُلِّ masjid, near every masjid. What does masjid mean? Place of sajda. It's from sujood. What does sujood mean? Prostration. So masjid is a place where you do sajda. It's a place of worship. Similarly, the word masjid can also apply to the time of doing sajda. The time of doing sajda. So, أَقِيمُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ عِنْدَ كُلِّ masjid. Any place of worship that you're in, any act of worship that you're in, any time that you're worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what do you have to do? أَقِيمُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ. What does it mean by this? أَقِيمُوا وُجُوهَكُمْ. First of all, that you direct your faces. You establish your faces, meaning you face them, you direct them towards what? Towards the Kaaba. So no matter where you are on the surface of the earth, when you're praying salah, where do you have to face? The Qibla, the Kaaba. Similarly, if you look at it, what's in the wajh? What's in the face? All of your faculties. Your eyes, your mouth, your head, your ears. All of your faculties are where? In your face. So, focus all of your senses to who? To Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Meaning when you're praying, when you're worshipping Him, then focus on Him alone. Which is why even our eyes should be focused on where? On the place of sajda. We're not allowed to look here or there. We're not allowed to look in the front or look up into the sky. No, that's not correct. Similarly, we're not allowed to close our eyes. What is the proper way? Where should our eyes be looking? At the place of sajda, when we're standing. At the most, it is said that a person can look at the imam to ensure, okay, what position is he in? So when you're praying, all of your senses, all of your focus should be directed to who? To Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. وَدْعُوهُ and you all call upon Him, meaning worship Him. How? مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ making sincere to Him the religion. What does ad-deen mean? Over here, worship. Remember there are many meanings of the word deen? Over here it means ibadah. So وَدْعُوهُ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ making your religion, making your worship sincere to Him alone. So when you are praying, no object, no person, no idol should be before you. No stone, no food, while thinking it to be necessary to be there. One is that you're praying and by chance the kitchen is in your front. Or by chance a particular, let's say a wall hanging on which the Kaaba is in your front. That's different. But otherwise, don't place something in front of yourself or don't stand deliberately in front of something thinking it to be important that it must be there before you when you're praying. So, وَدْعُوهُ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ worship Him with full attention, with focus and with sincerity. That no one should be before you when you're worshipping Allah. It should only be Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Similarly, ikhlas over here includes that your salah, your dua, your ibadah should be free of riya. Should be free of showing off. It should be done sincerely for the sake of Allah. كَمَا بَدَأَكُمْ تَعُودُونَ just as He originated you, that is how you will return. Meaning, like how you were created, you will also be created again. Like how you were created, you will also be created again. How were we created? From what? From mud. Similarly, we'll be resurrected from what? When our bones and everything has turned into mud. We'll be created from what? Mud. Secondly, كَمَا بَدَأَكُمْ تَعُودُونَ, in the way that you were created. In the manner that you were created. The way you came into this earth, without any clothes, without any shoes, individually. This is how you will be raised in the hereafter. That's exactly how you will be raised in the hereafter. كَمَا بَدَأَكُمْ تَعُودُونَ. And you see the mushrikeen, what would they say? That we were born without clothes. Therefore, when we go before God, we have to go without clothes. When we worship God, we have to go without clothes. But what does Allah say? That in this dunya, yes, you came without clothes, but قَدْ أَنزَلْنَا, we have sent down to you the command of clothing. In this dunya, you have to wear clothes. Even when a person dies and he's buried, still, he is covered. Isn't he? So in this dunya, you have to spend your time, your life, how? Wearing clothes. And in the hereafter, when you're resurrected, then you will not be wearing clothes. But in this dunya, you have to follow the command of Allah. Ibn Abbas who said that the Prophet ﷺ said that, O people, you will be gathered to Allah while barefoot, naked, and uncircumcised. That's how you will be gathered before Allah. So the mushrikeen, their practice is being criticized. That yes, you came to the dunya without clothes, you will be resurrected in the hereafter without clothes, but right now in the dunya you have to follow the commands of Allah. فَرِيقًا هَدَى, a group He guided, وَفَرِيقًا حَقَّ عَلَيْهِمُ الضَّلَالَةِ, and another group deserved to be in error. Meaning, all of you will be resurrected in the hereafter. And in this dunya, how are you, O people? One group of people were guided, and another group, misguidance, became deserving upon them. Meaning, they were definitely astray. So, فَرِيقًا هَدَى وَفَرِيقًا حَقَّ عَلَيْهِمُ الضَّلَالَةِ. So we see that there are two types of people amongst mankind. One group is of those who are guided. And what is hidayah? What is huda? That you give the directions, you make the person walk on those directions, take that particular path and make him reach the destination. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has offered guidance to everybody. Now if somebody is telling you, come, I'll show you the way, and he says, no, thank you very much, I don't want you to lead me. Whose fault is it? The person who is refusing the guidance. So فَرِيقًا هَدَى, He guided. Why? Because they accepted the guidance. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent down the commands to us in this world. He has told us about what is necessary, what is obligatory, what is forbidden. Now it's up to us, whatever we do. So the first group is of those people who accept the word of God. They accept it, they live according to it, they practice it. And the second group of mankind is of those people who deserve misguidance. Why? Because when guidance is offered to them, they don't accept it. For example, when the mushrikeen, they were told, this is not something that you should be doing, walking around the Kaaba naked. People are supposed to be praying over here. And this is extremely shameful. This is a place where you should be respectful. And how can you go around without any clothes? So, when they were told about this, they wouldn't accept. And we learned that it was later on, many, many years later, when the Muslims conquered, that is when no one was allowed to further do tawaf in the state of nakedness anymore. إِنَّهُمُ اتَّخَذُوا الشَّيَاطِينَ. So why is a group of people deserving of misguidance? Because they have taken الشَّيَاطِينَ, the Satan's أَوْلِيَاءَ مِن دُونِ اللَّهِ, close friends besides Allah. Meaning they listen to the shayateen. They listen and accept to the whispers of shayateen. They befriend shayateen and they don't befriend Allah. One is the thought that shaitan puts into our heart. And one is the command that Allah has given to us. It's up to us. If we accept the command of Allah, we are befriending Allah. If we're accepting the waswasa of shaitan, then who are we befriending? Shayateen. So those who deserved misguidance, why did they deserve misguidance? Because they followed shayateen. وَيَحْسَبُونَ أَنَّهُمْ مُهْتَدُونَ. And they used to think that they were rightly guided. And this is something very dangerous. This is something worrisome. That a person is doing something wrong and he thinks that he is right. This is the greatest deception that a person could be in. And this is something that shaitan also puts in the heart of a person. That no, what you're doing is right. You're not wrong at all. Shaitan does not come to us saying that this is wrong, so do it. What does he say? That this is so good, this is so beautiful, this is so beneficial, do it. And when a person sees the logic, apparent logic, he falls for it. And he thinks that he is right. And when he thinks that he is right, how will he change his ways? So وَيَحْسَبُونَ أَنَّهُمْ مُهْتَدُونَ. Similarly, shaitan comes to us and says to us that look, do whatever you want, Allah is forgiving. Yes, it's a fact that Allah is forgiving. But at the same time, He has also told me what I should do and what I should not do. So, this is the temptation of shaitan. This is the tactic of shaitan. That he fools us, thinking that what we're doing is right, whereas in reality, it is wrong. We learn in Surah Al-Kahf, ayah 103 to 104. قُلْ هَلْ نُنَبِّئُكُمْ بِالْأَخْسَرِينَ أَعْمَالًا. Say, O Prophet ﷺ, shall we inform you of the greatest losers with regards to their deeds? Who are they? الَّذِينَ ضَلَّ سَعْيُهُمْ فِي الْحَيَاةِ الدُّنْيَا. They are those whose efforts is lost in worldly life. Nothing they do in this dunya is worth anything in the hereafter. وَهُمْ يَحْسَبُونَ أَنَّهُمْ يُحْسِنُونَ صُنْعًا. And they think that what they are doing is very good. Such a person is the greatest loser. Let's listen to the recitation of these ayat.